Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review the new sci-fi thriller action horror film, Project Dorothy. And this is from writer-director George Henry Horton, and focuses on two men played by Tim DeZarn and Adam Boudron, who are stuck in a giant facility and realize that they're going toe-to-toe with an aggressive and ambitious machine who wants to get let loose on the world, voiced by Danielle Harris, aka Dorothy. And this film has some interesting elements as we follow these two criminals, two thieves, after a botched robbery as they're stuck in this facility. I think the film does a fine job over the course of, this is relatively short film, like an hour and 20 minutes. It does a fine job of building up intrigue and interest on what exactly this facility is, building this with it cutting back to like shots of like this electric eye watching them with like text coming on the screen, like the machine talking to itself, and you're just like, what's going on here? And I think the film, along with Horton's efforts, does a fine job of building that intrigue. I think they did a fantastic job with the production design and finding like the right kind of facility that has like, there's this one room that's just this labyrinth of metal beams and stuff like that. It just adds to the situation where it's like, this is a very interesting place that they were able to find to shoot this film in. There's also some really inspired camera work in terms of, from the computer perspective, from the machine perspective, and these long tracking shots like chasing after the characters. It builds some intrigue. I do feel like there's some directorial decisions from Horton, especially with the scares where it goes like obnoxiously leaning into Matthew James's score to make obnoxious jump scares, of course, and some moments where it just feels like they're using the sound mixing a little too aggressively, similar to the music, to try to sell these scares when they could have just let them play out and feel more natural. And I think Harris, who voices Dorothy, does a great like Gladys job in terms of being this crazy, unhinged kind of computer. And honestly, I think DeZarn and Boudron do a really fine job as these two characters, giving a certain level of depth. I think they have really good, solid performances, and we care about them a decent amount. So you have all these things going for it. Except I feel like this concept is so stretched thin over the course of this hour and 20 minute film. Even though it's a short length of a feature film, I don't know if this concept had the legs and what they had planned for it to go past, 45, 50 minutes. And then it just feels like they're buying time at points, drawing it out, and it loses a little bit of its thrust moving forward. I do feel like some of the choices and some of their budget limitations made some of the moments seem a little silly. And honestly, it kind of felt like on the same level of effects of the Doctor Who show, which they're not great effects. But in general, I think the biggest problem is a lot of the logic and some of the writing of expository information feels so clunky, so cliche. Them finding videos of the old scientists telling you exactly what's going on, or the computer spelling everything out to the audience, and just some of the decision making or some of the things that the characters are able to do to try to fight this thing, and you're just like, that makes no sense. Why didn't it just do that? And you kind of have to take a step back and not think too hard, because then otherwise a lot of the beats in terms of the narrative kind of fall apart. But in general, I think this is an entertaining enough little film. It's just, when you really take a step back and think about it, there's just too many flaws for this to really be a good film and to really stick with you later on. But in the moment, and especially if you're into this kind of genre, I think it has enough for you to be entertained for 80 minutes. But those are my thoughts on Project Dorothy. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.